Hello, everybody. Sorry for the 2-minute delay. There was some technical issues. I'm really excited to start this webinar. So I think that we should just get into it. Let me share my screen with you guys. So here we are. So today we're going to be talking about how to connect Ninox with Cognito Forms, which is it's a way for you to send out. We have done a couple of these. It's a way for you to send out surveys or questionnaires or whatever it is whatever information you want to collect from your users. Cognito Forms is one of the tools that you can use, and we will see throughout this webinar how it is to create forms with Cognito, to implement them, to connect this particular software with Ninox, the program with which we do it, how we map the values, and how we construct a database to hold all the data in the same way that the form explicitly creates them, and yeah, how the data will just show up there, and how Ninox can collect the results, the answers of any particular query created with Cognito. So we're going to be playing around with different kinds of field types, and yeah, we should get started, and it's going to be fun. So let's create a new form. Usually for these cases, we like to create a scenario in which it is as realistic as possible. And that helps us kind of give a proper context into what we're trying to achieve. And yeah, give a proper example and about the usability or the usefulness of this tool. So in this scenario, we're going to try, usually my favorite scenario is to try to create a user experience form. Let's say you have rolled out some drastic changes from your for your product, for your particular website, and you're interested to know what was the user's experience with these changes, whether they liked them, whether they didn't, if they have any more suggestions. So we are going to compile, we're going to create a form that contains questions regarding this particular scenario. We're going to try to make it as complex as possible, use as many different fields as possible, so you can see different types of mappings. And yeah, let us get into it. Let's give it a title. And a description. So this is a small description. Now, I myself, in this particular case, I'm a developer. I'm not really a marketing girl or a sales girl. So maybe this is not, the sentences that I use, maybe they're not completely accurate or good or particularly, yeah, specific. But if you have any suggestions, please let me know. I'd love to learn. So let us create our form. Let's start with a text box in which we are going to name it email. So someone can write down, or name, since we're going to, oh, email is better. So in this, it's a better identifier in any case. So as you can see, there are several options that we have here. We can have some sort of validation for the form. We can have some sort of default value, number of characters, helpful text, and whether to show this, when to show this field, whether it's required or not, whether it's only for information, so nobody can edit it. In that case, it would be read only. So there are many different types of fields of options that you have with Cognito to serve a wide variety of scenarios, a wide variety of cases. So yeah, if you have, I would say, any kind of, so let us say that we only accept, well, it wouldn't make sense in an email, but for example, if you're only accepting, if you're not accepting numbers, or if you're not accepting letters, or you don't expect special characters, or you have some sort of custom format that you want to create. I don't know if you guys have worked with regular expressions, so if you want to maintain a specific format, this will be the place to put it in to validate it. So yeah, something to keep in mind regarding the multiple options that you have with Cognito. Perhaps, well, a choice, it's always good. And this choice will be which industry do you belong to? So let's say that our platform is used by different industries, such as medicine, marketing, manufacturing. You want to make sure that the answers are as specific as possible, and you want to know as much as possible about the people that are responding to your survey. And so in the future, you can use Ninox's functionalities to maybe create different charts, make sense of the data, all kinds of data science stuff that it would be a good idea to have the industry. Oh, okay. No, I was only attempting to create, we have a question. So the question is that there is a field called email, and I chose this plain text field. So, okay, we can use an email. There's no reason behind that. I was just wanting to show the functionalities of a normal text box, and I chose email. But thank you for catching that. That's a good catch. Let's put email here, and let's put name here. And, or if you don't want to be specific about the name, let's put country. And you have an email type. So yeah, there's not really there wasn't a reason. I was just trying to implement a specific text, to start easy by a text box. But yeah, thank you for the suggestions. So yeah, the industry. Let us add a couple of options. So we have marketing, medicine, manufacturing. They don't have to start with M. Just to be clear. So we have these values. We can put other here just in case, and let's add another one. So we created industry type. We have an email type, we have a country type, perhaps we would like to go with, I don't think that Himanshu is joining us in this webinar. I'm sorry, guys. Well, if you are asking about a question that is not part of this webinar, then maybe you would want to drop it down to our forum or we have a very active Facebook page. We have a variety of channels. Unfortunately, I can only answer questions that have to do with this particular topic. But yeah, anything regarding Ninox API, we have many different channels that there are people who are specialized in answering you guys. So I don't think that Himanshu is going to be here today. I hope that, yeah, maybe in another webinar. We'll see what the schedule is for next week. So let's put a date type. And this will be maybe this is mostly to demonstrate the date field. If there is a more specific case in which, a more accurate case in which we'll use a date field, please feel free to put in suggestions. And let's add another one. Yes or no field. Are you happy with the new changes? It's just a way to quickly categorize it. Let's put another one. Maybe the number. So this number would be on a scale of 1 to 5. How happy are you with the new changes? And this is just to demonstrate some sort of, yeah, to put some sort of emphasis on it, to give some more details about it. You can put another text box in which will be, how would you describe your experience with the product? And another one, there'll be, would you recommend this product to, or maybe, what are some suggestions that you want to see in the future? Maybe suggestion is not the right word, perhaps features. So we have country, email, industry, date, number, Well, let's delete that because we have it here. Are we happy with the new changes on a scale to 1 to 5? How happy or how dissatisfied are we? How would you describe the experience? And what are some features that we want to see in the future? I think that, let us see if there are any other options that we would like to explore. Oh, there is a rating scale. Okay. Well, in that case, let us use this. And let us delete this. Perhaps we use a choice, multiple choice, we use a date, we use a rating scale, 3 text box, and a number. Or perhaps not a number, but I think that this is complicated enough form to give us a general idea of how Cognito Forms work. So let us go ahead and save it. And this is our form. So now that I have created our form, we want to make sure the end result is when someone fills out this form, the results are immediately sent into our Ninox database. So for this data to be reflected in Ninox database, we have to make sure that there is a table that is storing that and that is mapping the data exactly as we've created this form. So we're going to Ninox, my new database, and we'll create a table, which is world user experience. And in this table, we are going to add our country, which was just added. And then we're going to add our email. We're going to add a multiple choice. By way industry. And we're going to add the values that we have that multiple choice. The first of which is the second one, which is marketing, medicine, manufacturing, engineering. So the other option is the date. So when we start using our product. And then after that is let us say satisfaction with the upgrade. It's just a yes or no question. This is purely to just have a very clear way to divide or to categorize our responses. Then we have a multi-line that is user experience. And then another one, user suggestions. And then at the end, we have a rating. And a rating Bottom line is just a number. We'll call this user happiness. Maybe we can give a more correct name to this one. Happy with the upgrade. So we have 8 fields here and 8 fields here. And this one the labels don't need to be the same. The only thing that needs to be the same is the type for particular cases. So we make sure that we are able to map them. And there we go. That's our table. So we have our form, we have our table. Now we need to find a way to map it, to connect them. And fun fact, well, Jorg, I don't know what, I don't think that Himanshu is joining this particular webinar, but perhaps you can send another email to Jorg, and in that case, and tell him that you failed to connect with Himanshu, and I'm sure that he will find a way to put you on his calendar. I'm sorry that I can do more for you at this particular time. Just answering a question, guys, sorry. Okay, there is a suggestion about the form. We want to make sure when you are doing multiple form, at least in this scenario, I want to have some sort of strict list of options, but let's see how it works out. Thing is, I'm not sure if this is going to be mapped to a particular field in Ninox. But if we don't specify the options, but we can try and we can see. I have never attempted it before, but yeah, we can try it. So we go to Incognito's form. So the way that you can integrate the Cognito Forms with the Ninox database is through Integromat. It's a very great tool that we use to connect this Ninox with a lot of different software. In this case, Cognito Forms, but also Google Forms, Gravity Forms. We have discussed them in other webinars. The first thing we do is to look for Cognito Forms in a new scenario. And now that we have it, we click here. So what are we looking for? We're watching for new entry. So we're looking for the event that we're trying to track is when someone submits a new form. So let us add a connection. My submit webhook is pretty self-explanatory, and the connection is give me a second here, guys. I don't think I remember this, but I was hoping it would allow me to log in with my Google account, but apparently well, it's not possible. Give me 1 second so I can manage my account. And we're back, and the connection is secured. I was just logging into my account, and now that the connection is secured, here's our form, and we're saving it. So now we're connected to Cognito Forms. The next step would be to connect to Ninox, and before I do that, let me make sure that there are no more questions. The connective program is called Integromat. It's also called the glue of the internet. And fun fact, usually that's what I Google when I try to find it, because sometimes I forget the name itself. It's mentioned here in the domain if you want to see it, but now it's time to add Ninox. We're watching for a submission from our Cognito Forms, but the event that we're trying to trigger into Ninox is that every time there's submission of the form, we create a record into Ninox. So the event that we're watching here is create record. Let's add the connection. Now to create a Ninox connection in Integromat, which is the program we're using to connect these forms, we need an API key. And to generate and to copy an API key, what we do is go to user.ninox.com and to the API tab. Now, if we don't have any API keys yet, we generate a new one. And there it is. So let us copy it. And click continue. We select our team, which is my team 1, and my new database, and our newly created table. And there we have it, all our fields. So let's start mapping them, the most exciting part. We have country, we have email, and now with industry, something special happens because usually we have to map every single type into a specific, every single option into a specific value in our Ninox database. So here in the second tab, the gear tab, we have a couple of functions that help us translate these values into Ninox. And the one we're going to be using today is going to be switch. And that's what we usually use with multiple choice. So the first value of switch is the field itself. So we go here. And then afterwards, we start by giving a value to everything that we learn. So here we have and in our date field, we put this. And here, we are looking for a date formatter. As you can see here, we are looking for a year, month, date. So this is what we're looking for. So let us try to make sure that we have it correctly. And it is. And in the first field, we put the value itself. We map each one. And we click OK. So given that we have made this connection successfully, we've mapped everything successfully, the moment that we run this and get one response, we were going to see immediately the value that we've inputted into the form in the table. So let's start here. and let us fill in some data. Firstly, we're going to put the ones we already have, and then we can do a test with a variable. But I'm not sure how much that's going to work. I'm sure there's a trick for it. We can find out together. Oh, sorry guys. This is where we put it. So we create this URL, and this is where we fill it out. Small mistake. Okay, so now that we've put our I believe that the question is, Miriam. So the URL that we go here is immediately produced by Cognito Forms. And the moment that it is published, you can see it here. Use this URL to create a hyperlink to your form. So this is the one that you're going to be sharing with your customers. As to the second question, where do I go to get the API? We go to user.ninox.com, API tab, we sign in with our credentials. And in the API tab, either we copy an existing one or we generate a new one. So let us run this once. I believe that depending on the type of tool, sometimes you can run it and it will get the form. Sometimes it is live. I think that this is the second case. So let us fill it once again really quickly. Usually when you're doing Google Forms, you can run it after you have submitted a form. In this case, you have to have it running while you submit the form. So let us do a short one really quickly. And send it. And there you have it. So these are our data. And now we see that they're also here, which means that Ninox has received them. Now let's see, and there's no errors, which is always good. And now let's see what we have here. We have the country, we have the email, we have the industry, we have the plan, we have whether we're happy with the upgrade or not, the user experience, and the user suggestions. So all our fields are in Ninox. Everything that we have filled out is here. Now, we are going to, I'm not sure This is experimental. And I'm not sure if we can create a multiple choice field in which one of the options is a field form. And that's a very experiment. But as you can hear, it offers a small explanation which it says that the multiple choice field is not fully supported. So you need to have specific choices that map to specific options fields in the multiple choice fields. So unfortunately, if these fields are not available, then we cannot map them. We can create, and if we want a free form, then we would have to create another text field, gather our specific data from there. It's a good suggestion, and it's a good feature request. And but yeah, so do you guys have any questions regarding to what we have explained so far? I realize that maybe I've taken some time to answer some questions that have been coming to me. So maybe you were confused somewhere along the way. Sometimes I'm a little bit chaotic in what I explain. But let us go through it very quickly one more time. We use Cognito Form to send out different types of information gathering forms, most likely a survey. We have created our form here. We have tried to use as different types of fields so we can show different types of mappings. So there's a flexibility in the type of information that you are requesting from your users and that you can input into Ninox. We have questions. Yes, so I think they used to be so I know that with Gravity Forms, there is an option to send out pre-filled forms in which you can actually edit a specific type of form. I'm not sure whether you can do it in Cognito Forms. Maybe if we go to publish. Well, that didn't work. Yes, the program is called Integromat. Well, I can't think of a scenario in which that would be, I suppose there is an option in which you can create pre-filled forms, but I don't know how to send data from Ninox to the form. And I think it's beyond the scope of this webinar, but I think it's an interesting question. Regarding the pre-filled forms, a feature that would have to be I remember this. Actually, there is an option to create pre-filled forms. Let's look through it together. So as you can see here, you can enter your data that way. So if you have a JSON with your data, you can add it behind the URL. So this is our URL. We need to find a way to get the JSON format of this. Let's put maybe just as you can see, it's working. Now, so as you can see, I'm going to need to upgrade my account to share pre-filled forms. So if you are a paying customer of Cognito Forms, you can have a pre-filled form in which you can share the link. And in that case, you can have the option to change. So your customers can submit a form and then they can go back and edit their data, the data that they input, and Ninox would be automatically updated. It's a feature that you would have to pay for. And right now, I don't have a paying account, unfortunately, but I hope that that answers your question. Is there anything more? I think I lost track of my bar. So yeah, to the anonymous attendee who wants to contact with Himanshu, maybe just drop an email and perhaps I can ask one of the support guys to reach back to you. We have a huge number of customers that have feature requests, or they're very active. So obviously sometimes our support team is a little bit overwhelmed, but we have your best interest at heart, and we want to make sure that your questions are answered. So Integromat is the program we mentioned. We can use I don't know what you mean by the same API, but yeah, I mean, the same API key can be used for different scenarios. This is just a identification key, but you can use that API, the same API key, you can leave it there and you can use it in different scenarios. This is the question that Miriam placed. So it's not just a one-time use, it's just a way of identifying. We get the API at the user.ninox.com. At the API tab, you can generate one. Prefilled forms apparently are a paid feature. And I don't know if the reverse is true, but probably it is if you're upgrading. So I think that some of these forms, some of this software relies on Integromat because Integromat has a well-known security options, and I'm sure there are custom APIs for Ninox to connect to different software, but generally I think that when it comes to these well-known platforms, it's the safest way to go. Because they are well weathered in security issues and security breaches, and they're very robust. So I don't think there is a customized API to connect to Cognito, but I'm sure that there's a custom API to connect to different types of forms. It's just that you have to balance out the pros and cons of that solution. So yeah. Any other questions from you guys? To reiterate, while I'm waiting for another question, which we have, maybe. A webhook, in which scenario? We use the webhook to connect to Cognito Forms. Is that what you're referring to? We use the webhook here. For the API in Ninox, I think that this is the only way to create an API key. That is the way that Ninox connects to Integromat. I don't think that there is a webhook option. So basically the connection, when you try to add it, the moment the Ninox specifies the type of connection that it accepts, and you have to have an API key. I don't think you can use a webhook in this scenario, but feature request. So yeah, we created, so let's reiterate for the last time what we did today. We created a form with Cognito Forms. We added a couple of different fields to create a scenario in which we're asking for a user's experience. We created a table in Ninox that will match those fields perfectly. So we would have they would have somewhere to go once a user has submitted them. And we use this cool tool called Integromat to connect Cognito Forms with Ninox. We connected Cognito Forms via Webhook, so we just have to log into your account, which I did offline because apparently they don't have a login with Google option. And also we connect with Ninox via an API key, which we generate from user.ninox.com. Generate API. There is not one provided here. You can just generate a new one. You can use it for multiple scenarios. It's not bound to one particular thing. It's a way of identifying your connection. And once it is identified, you send out a form. You go to, once you have published your form, you go to this URL, you copy this URL, you send out a form, and once that form is sent out, you watch for it in Integromat. So you run it, you watch for it, it comes, and hopefully it is immediately transmitted to Ninox. And once it's transmitted to Ninox, Ninox creates a new record with all the details of the form that you have submitted. And the events that trigger each of these transfers is, here it's get a record, so record submitted, or get a submission, get a response. And here is create a record. So you get the information from Cognito Forms and you create the record in Ninox. Those two events are the ones that you need to watch for when you're trying to submit a form and make sure that it ends up in the right database. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, for listening, for being interested in the product, and yeah, for joining me in this webinar. I hope I see you in others. I usually talk about Cognito Forms, Gravity Forms, Google Forms. So there are many different software that connect to Ninox, and you can do a wide variety of things with them. And yeah, it's a very powerful tool, and it's a really cool way to communicate with your user base. So I hope you see you guys next week, and all the best from me, and enjoy Ninox. Bye.